Here we go. This is the best damn amateur MMA podcast ever. I'm your host, Danny. I'm here with Pejman Rohanifar, and he's a karate tournament fighter coming out of Southern California. What's up, Pejman? How you doing today?
Hey Dan, good. How are you?
Good. We're just gonna talk all about karate and the tournaments that you do. It's a pretty big deal. You're in some pretty big tournaments.
Yeah, actually, I'm just waiting for another tournament coming in 4 months in Las Vegas, the U.S. Open. I get ready for that. So
Is that the biggest karate tournament?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest ones nationwide.
That's a good one.
Right.
You've been training in a while for this one, or what?
Yeah, actually, since last year I were there and I sent sixth place. But this year I'm trying to promote it. So yeah,
Nice.
practice every day.
Very cool. You train a lot. This is your life for the most part, right?
I love it. It's the biggest love. Actually.
So we were talking that in terms of like actual MMA, you brought up a good subject earlier, and you said that they sometimes they should take the A out of MMA because a lot of these amateur fighters and professional fighters, they take the art form out of it, and you love that it's an art form, and through karate you can truly express that art form in these tournaments.
I'm really agree with that because in my views, actually, in the form of the MMA these days, everyone just go for finish. No one's have that part of the martial art as an art. So it's little bit it doesn't have that much overlap with what I expect from the martial arts in MMA. That's why I didn't go to the octagon so far.
So why do you like karate? Why do you like karate as opposed to jiu-jitsu or judo or?
That's a good question. Actually, sometimes something start to get your habits after you fall into it.
I see.
For example, it was the only school karate, Shotokan karate school in my hometown city. So I always see that people's going when I was 7 years old and practice karate and going out. So I just goes there and I watch what they're doing and I understood that I like it. Maybe if we have jiu-jitsu in that time, it was another schools there. Maybe I go to the jiu-jitsu, who knows? But yeah, I can't say it's accent, but after that I fall in love with it.
If we're still on clips here, we have some clips playing here of you taking these guys' heads off here. Tell me about these tournaments. What's it like? Do you get the butterflies right before these tournaments? Because it's still very much. It might not be the octagon, but you could still get your knot blocked off here for sure.
Yeah, easily. Actually, karate these days is literal term to be get your scores and be winning based on the scores. But the nature of karate is it's a tough one, and I'm trying to use my kick because I'm famous for my kicks. So and sometimes the kick is hard and it's hard.
Like your high kicks or
No, I think
your
the high kick, roundhouse kick especially.
Roundhouse kick, okay.
The kick and the spinning kicks.
And
my favorite.
and especially because diving into Shotokan, it's a lot of long stances, a lot of long reaches, you have to have a good amount of reach to pull off a lot of these moves, and you have a good frame for that stuff. You're about what? Well, close to 6 feet almost.
Mm-hmm.
You've got long legs, you've got a lot of athleticism where you can actually get your foot to someone's face.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
that works out in your
physics.
favor.
Your physics is very important for
Yeah,
karate. Yeah, it's
especially.
so helpful. Yeah, I'm glad that I have the good physics. I think.
Let me to hear about some of your injuries. Have you ever had like a real bad injury or a real bad situation?
You name it.
Let me hear a situation that like a lot of these people, they're probably looking at these clips and they're like, oh man, this is awesome. This guy's in these tournaments, he's kicking ass. But what they don't see is the long, hard road that it took you to get to that place. So like, things can get difficult sometimes in those scenarios. And like, for all you don't know, we used to work together at a restaurant, and the lifestyle for a lot of fighters, they have normal jobs. So it's like, it must be difficult to train and work your job and still get to these tournaments.
And going to school.
And going to school, right?
Yeah,
so
that's a lot to do. It's really hard, but in my view, when you have a goal, you can overcome with everything.
yeah, and that's a message to all fighters. Big time.
Right, yeah. You should have dedications, you should have persistence, you should be persistent, and and never give up.
And there's a lot of times throughout your training where you question why you're doing this. When those days you're beat up or you're tired or you have to be at work and all those scenarios. And if you're not having those kinds of moments during your training, you're probably not training right or enough. You know, so it's good that you get those types of things and you learn from them, and that's a big lesson outside of karate too. You know,
That's very true.
it's one of the most disciplined art forms for sure.
That's very true. That what I learned in karate. That's most of the time you have to practice same things, but in a different ways.
Regular life.
And in
Right.
regular life, exactly. So you should be persistent. You shouldn't. Uh, when you get practice, you should maybe have some routines. You practice everything, the basics, the advanced every day. But it's the biggest challenge.
That was going to be my next question. Like, if there's someone out there that's listening that is considering getting into Shotokan or karate in general for the first time, they have no experience and they're looking to pick their first thing. Like, what would you say to someone who may be deciding to go to karate? Why is karate the best one to go to as opposed to jiu-jitsu or wrestling or boxing?
Then I'm not denying uh, other kind of martial arts, but I think karate is one of the purest ones.
I can
From-
definitely understand that.
Yeah. Also, it's one of the branch of the martial arts that is find the ways to the Olympic Games. So
Is
it's
that
not easy one game go to the Olympic Games. For example, Kyokushin Karate couldn't. The fighters couldn't go to
Right.
the Olympic Games, but the Shotokan Karate can go there. So it means worldwide accepted as a good game and as a good sport. So for myself, also, the beauty of karate is the speed, is the power, and is the respect.
Yeah, and those are the things that truly make fighters artists. They're
Yeah,
not just
that is-
some machine in a lab training.
That's
To
very
get in a
true.
cage. I don't understand, and it's nice to have people on the podcast that go back to that root that you are an artist at the end of the day, not a robot, not a machine. You don't have to do step A, step B, step C. There's things that, like you said, that become pure.
Yeah, that's beautiful
It's a
thing.
pure
Yeah,
art
yeah,
form. It
yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So what is your goal in this art form? I mean, do you have like a place you want to reach, or do you have like what will be the pinnacle of your martial art career, quote unquote?
Yeah, I'm in the age that I'm a competitive athlete. So my goal is to find a way to national teams and then show my talents to the world.
And to the Olympics, right?
To the Olympics game, yeah.
Okay,
It's a
cool.
hard way, but it's possible.
Yeah, and that's I mean,
That's
you get
what-
to the Olympics, that's a major life accomplishment. That's
Exactly.
different
in
than-
this short time.
right. That's a lot different than just getting a win in an MMA promotion. Some
That's
local
right.
fight or something. That's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So you say that you're a competitive athlete.
Yeah.
What goes into being that? I mean, there has to be sacrifices that you're giving up on the regular. Are you on your nutrition? I mean, like, what kind of advice would you give to someone else looking to become a competitive athlete in the world of karate?
Yeah, to being a competitive athlete, it should be in your nature. Sometimes you love to do that, but you don't have the talents.
Right.
It's very important.
That cheeseburger or that night out at the bar or things like that.
Yeah, is the other part that it means you should have the full dedications to your job, to your works. For example, that's right. Yeah, most of the time, I love burgers, as you said, but it's more than 5
We
months.
work-
I
we
didn't
worked
have
at
any
a
burger.
restaurant,
Right,
you know.
Yeah,
You know, yeah.
But to me, it's actually going to the tournaments and getting ready for the tournament. To me, to be honest with you, is the biggest communications with God to me.
Right.
Through all the winning and losings and the lessons I learned from the tournaments and going to different places, different cities, and introduce myself to different people, find new friends. That's all. Or denying myself, for example, this week's tournaments comings, I can't drink, I can't
Right.
eat that much.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's
Just
all the
like
lessons
any
I
other
learned.
MMA fighter, it's no difference there as far as.
That's true,
So-
yeah.
Would you say how many tournaments would you say you've done in the past 2 or 3 years? Like you said, you've been doing this. How often are you going to a tournament?
Actually, there are a lot of tournaments going on, but I'm trying to pick up the biggest ones
Oh, okay.
and the ones that have the biggest reputation.
Right.
So,
So how many per year? Or,
I can say 4 or to 5.
4 to 5.
Yeah,
That's about
right,
right. So
yeah.
at 4 to 5 tournaments a year, you're probably overdoing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
trying to at least be good for.
Gotcha. And that's one like every 3 months, so that's not so
Yeah,
bad.
that's
One every
that,
2 or 3 months.
Yeah, but it's hard actually to get used to in two
What,
3 months.
what
you
was your
recover
hardest
and-
tournament?
Last year,
Yeah.
the U.S. Open in Vegas.
So the
It was
U.S.
the
Open
hardest one.
is that the biggest one?
It was the
Sure.
biggest one nationwide
Wow.
in U.S. Yeah, all the national teams members, plus all the national teams members from other countries coming here.
That's a
competing,
lot of
and
karate people.
A lot of karate people.
That's
yeah.
cool. That's real cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can pause real quick. I'm gonna say, have you only done tournaments in the U.S. or have you gone outside of the U.S. for tournaments?
It was in the U.S. Guys, I came here like 2 years ago.
Because your home country is what you said,
Iran.
Iran, and in Turkey you said you lived in too, right?
Yeah, I lived in Turkey for the short period of time, like 18 months.
And nowadays, you know, MMA and martial arts in general, it's huge, even in places like Turkey and Iran.
Yeah.
There's a ton of Iran UFC fighters that are just huge.
Yeah.
Would that be nice for you to go back home and kick ass in a karate tournament down there?
Yeah, that would be great actually. Yeah, especially the wrestlers in Iran, they really tends to go to the MMA styles and maybe.
So you have no hopes at all to go into the octagon. You're gonna stay in
not,
karate.
Yeah, not so far because you know Dan, I believe in my view, I like to be deep in my branch
Right.
of martial arts.
And to get into the octagon, you're going to need a good amount of wrestling training and boxing and all the other
kickbox,
things. And
jiu-jitsu.
it's almost like starting all over again.
Yeah.
I hear you there.
Yeah, I'm in the age actually I like to harvest
Right.
what I learned so
Right.
far, not to learn. Yeah.
Very cool. What is your weight class? Do they have weight classes in these tournaments? Like,
Yeah.
How do they split up
Yeah,
the
in the
divisions
US
there?
Open, we had that one.
Is weight class?
Yeah, in the WKF style, there are two styles of karate competitions committed in this fight.
Oh, okay.
One of them is WKF, and the other one is
That's a
Open.
big one. That's World
Yes.
Karate Federation, right? That's a big
Exactly,
one, yeah.
And that one, yeah, the division, I'm in minus 84.
You've done tournaments for the World Karate Federation yet? Or
For the nationwide, for the karate, for the USA Karate Federation, yeah, I got that, but not for outside the US.
I've seen they have even like the California Karate Championship. I think the CKC or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, CKC.
Yeah, but they are based on the Ippon Committee. The rules a little bit different.
Oh, really? And
Yeah,
like you said,
and
you're
the time-
you're chasing the big tournaments.
Actually, the big
You're right. I get that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we can pause real quick.
That was so far.
Good. It's going great. Anything specific you want me to ask? Okay, so here we're gonna watch this game. For all these who are listening, we have the big screen pulled up with a lot of Pejman's fight clips here from these tournaments, and it's pretty serious. I mean, you're fighting this guy here, and he looks like he's pretty tall. He's pretty big.
Yeah. Yes.
Talk about what it's like
Could you
in these
could you-
moments.
Could you pause it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your video give us a yeah, sorry, I'm talking fast. I'm going to change the
I
video.
thought I was stoned. I was like,
I'm going to change. I switch from the other one. I'm going to switch to the other videos.
okay, yeah. Okay, so pull up a video and we'll talk about it.
Like that.
I don't know how much time we have left on this battery, but so far we're up to like 13 minutes, so we don't have too much farther to go. Let me just keep checking this camera, make sure it's still recording. It's good, it's still recording. Cool.
Good.
Right on.
So which one?
Do you want me to click it?
You can go with the whatever you want.
No, whatever you want to talk about.
You want to use the mats or in the parking?
Whatever one you think is the cool for us to talk about.
Let's go. This one.
Okay, and that's only 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, go ahead and press the space bar when you're ready.
You can also talk about what's your favorite movement.
Okay, yeah. We'll go back to that roundhouse.
If you want, yeah.
Okay, so for all of you guys who are listening, this is the best damn amateur MMA podcast ever. I'm here with Pejman Rohanifar. He's a karate tournament fighter out of Southern California. We're watching his clips right now on the big screen. Let's talk about this.
Actually, this one is for 2 years ago in Las Vegas, Ozawa Cup tournaments, and this match was the first one. It's against a guy from Canada, and I beat him for 1.
This is a pretty cool scenario. It's not your typical octagon setting. Like, it looks like you're in a very elegant banquet hall, and you got an elegant, rug there. That's pretty cool. It almost makes it like you said, a pure art form here. More very, very Kumite style.
Yeah, that's true. It was in the Pentagon is a Flamingo Hotel. So
So this opponent here, where would you rate him on as far as like the hardest opponent you've ever faced or the easiest?
this one is something medium.
He's about medium?
Yeah, yeah.
How many tournaments would you say you've been in the past 3 years?
For more than eight tournaments.
8 tournaments?
Yeah, right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
How many would you say you said, because we talked earlier, oh, this is pretty cool. You got some serious speed.
Yeah.
Karate's no joke, and it's really all in your hip movement, your leg movement.
Yeah, a lot of them actually.
You know, it's all about setting up your punches and your kicks here.
You know, the power is actually is nothing more than your speed.
Right.
Yeah, when you have the more speeds, you can have better power. You can add your powers but your speeds. So,
What's it like getting ready for an event like this? I mean, I'm sure you have butterflies, same as any other MMA fighter.
yeah, that's true. I remember for these tournaments, I competitive once like 3 months. Yeah.
How do you think you would stand up? You said you've been doing, karate and karate only for so long. How would you think you'd stand up against someone in the octagon? Do you think that you could hold out? How do you think your defense would be against wrestling and jiu-jitsu and all that stuff?
If only I go to the octagon, I have to learn some other stuffs.
Yeah.
Just with karate is okay, but the
It's not
grabbing
enough, right?
is not enough,
Not
especially
enough.
for grabbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty common knowledge for sure.
Yeah, but it needs for more practice.
What could you
that's
see
all.
yourself being good at other than the karate?
Yeah, for sure.
Because like you're a big guy, so I would say like and you're very fast for your size, so I would say like you'd probably be good at jiu-jitsu or even judo. I could see you clinching up well and really powerhousing guys.
Yeah.
How much do you weigh?
82.
182?
82. Oh,
Yeah,
80
no, no.
kilogram.
In pounds.
Oh, okay. 180.
180, right? So you'd probably be up in the light heavyweight.
I can.
You'd be a light You'd pretty much be a light heavyweight.
Right. Yeah.
Same class as Lyoto Machida. He's the Shotokan legend.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Like to face
He was one of my favorite growing up. And here's a cool story too about me and Pejman. We used to work at a restaurant, way back, and and someone had said to me, I think it was Juan, one of our coworkers, and he said, don't joke around with Pejman, he'll knock your head off. And and at the time I didn't really know you, and you seemed like a very just quiet guy. Like I didn't expect much, and I didn't really take what Juan said seriously. And he was like, and eventually I found out he's like, no, he really does. He does karate and stuff. And I hear that a lot, like, oh, somebody does karate, they all think they're a master and that. He's like, no, like, look, and he pulled out his phone, he shows me this video of you kicking these guys' heads off in these tournaments, and I'm like, damn, I've been working side by side with this guy for this long. So he told me you do karate, and I said, what do you do, Shotokan? And you looked at me, it's like, oh man, this guy totally knows what I'm doing. And ever since then, we always talk about martial arts at work, and that's a cool scenario to have someone at work.
That's why I believe the martial art is different from MMA so far. Maybe in a little bit change, but it's the art. It brings up discipline, it brings up respect and friendship.
Right. And in the world of MMA,
why
you know why a big reason of that?
different.
It's money.
That's
In MMA, it's all about money, and that's where it drags down to purity for sure. And I totally understand that. There's no way around it. Every now and then, you'll get an MMA fighter who is about their purity and the art form and everything over money. But for a lot of these fighters, it's all about money. It's all about making a life with fighting.
Yeah, that's
Because you dedicate every day to this lifestyle, and you're not doing it for a paycheck.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, they're doing it because they want to become famous and rich, or just simply pay their bills. And it's nice to see people who dedicate that amount of time every week with no hopes of a paycheck.
No,
Because you're never gonna make a living doing karate tournaments. There's no real platforms, right?
It's just a love,
Right.
between you and your martial art. For me, for the karate, and it's something, I believe it's going to this world like martial art. The real martial arts is like going to a good habits.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to form a good habit, but it's easy to live it.
Right.
But it's easy to find the bad habits, but it's hard to live it.
Yeah.
So I try to pick up the first one.
Right. That's good stuff, and that's great advice for other amateur fighters that are listening, or people that are even not even doing martial arts yet but want to start. And that's a big thing too. Every day there's someone new that wants to get into the sport, and they look at things like that. And that's why I wanted you to come on this podcast, because yes, this podcast is for amateur fighters and how you can get to your first amateur fights, or how you can get to closer to the UFC or other big promotions like Invicta and all that, and Bellator. But a lot of these people, they skip these tournaments, and that might be excellent practice before you even step in a cage. Go sign up for one of these tournaments and go where there's no ground and pound. It's only strikes. It's only kicks, and see where you stand. It really allows you to, perfect your defense and your striking skills. And you don't have to worry about getting punched in the face or submitted. So it's a great way. Don't get me wrong. These karate tournaments.
Right.
Have you seen some pretty bad injuries at these? I would assume so.
Lots of time actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's probably the worst.
I have my last opponents. It was my last tournaments. It was in Los Angeles, All-Star Championship. The guy, I kick him, he knock out. But I didn't like that happened, but it happened for him.
That must be hard. It's a little bit bittersweet.
It was hard for him.
You're happy to get a knockout, but you're still a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm happy I did that, not because he knocked out, because my timing was good, because my skill was good, and everyone likes that. But I'm not happy because he knocked out. I am happy because I won.
Have you ever had a...
That's a difference. That's a big difference.
No, for sure.
Sometimes people like to beat someone else. People like to win.
Right.
I like to win. I don't like to beat anyone else. What happened?
It's very
That's
strategic.
a big difference.
It's like chess,
Yeah.
Not that MMA is not chess, but these tournaments are very especially chess.
For example, then when I playing soccer, my coach said when I was a teenager, another team is coming from other cities. He said, guys, this team is not coming to winning. They're coming to beat you. That's the difference. Don't let them do that.
And that's a big metaphor in life.
Right.
Life,
Exactly.
for the man in general.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a fight where just one of your opponents is just straight shit talking you and just totally trying to get in your head? You get those kinds of guys?
That's what happens. Yeah, but believe me,
There's always one.
Exactly.
You don't ever let it get... You've never had a fight in a
time.
tournament where it just got to you?
Yeah, should be patient.
Yeah, that's karate in a nutshell,
Exactly.
Patience.
Yeah. But at the end, I remember he came to me and he apologized for what happened. And he said, I had a bad day last day. So I said, okay. I didn't see that guy anyway.
You ever had a fight in a tournament where you're going up against a guy and you just know you're about to lose? Like, this guy is that good.
Yeah. I remember it was one match in the tournaments. The guy, he was opposed me. His dad was the referee. And he knows he's gonna lose, so he was just looking forward to go behind anyone else. But at the end, I won him, but I tried to not be that much hard to him. I tried after I get ahead of him, just kill the time to finish it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna close it up.
Okay. Yeah.
You have any other really good topics? I'm just worried that it's gonna end before we fucking finish. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close it out.
Okay.
But if you want to keep talking, that's fine too. But at least I have the closing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I'm here with Pejman Rohanifar. He's a karate tournament fighter out of Southern California. You're listening to the best damn amateur MMA podcast ever. I'm your host, Danny. Pejman, it was a pleasure having you here. Thanks for
having me.
Yeah, and when's your next tournament?
April 1st in Las Vegas.
The US
Open.
US Open. So
Yeah.
look out for that. Go on YouTube. You can find him and look over all our links. You can find all of Pejman's awesome knockouts in these tournaments.
Sure.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
So what I'll do is I'll stop that so I know I have that. And if you want to keep talking, like that's fine.
It was good.
I can pull other clips.
Let
me play these clips. I want to keep throwing you some like zingers because you seem like you're able to answer them fairly quickly. Make sure this is still going. Yep, that's still going. Do you want me to skip it?
Yeah, get that other one.
Okay. I'll just let him play in the background.
That's fine. Do you continue or is some other subjects? Oh, keep it up.
Okay.
Whatever he wants. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it up.
This is the best damn amateur MMA podcast ever. I'm your host, Danny. We're getting into some good topics here. I'm here with Pejman. He's a karate tournament fighter. He fights in tournaments about every 2 or 3 months, and he goes to these big tournaments, and he is really a true karate. I don't want to go as far as say master. Would you consider yourself a master? Do you have a black belt in karate? I should have started this podcast first. I'm looking at
just turn right and watch the.
He does have a black
footage.
belt. It somehow skipped over me. See, you know, because like we said, we worked at a restaurant together, so like you never know who you're working with. I would never look at this guy and be like, this guy's a black belt, you know. This just goes to show that it's pretty cool.
Yeah, in karate.
How long? Let's talk about this black belt. I mean,
Yeah, in
how
karate.
long did it take you to get that?
It's dependable on how persistent you are. It's my second black belt. But
So you're a second degree black belt.
I'm the first degree black belt right now, but I didn't go for the examination. I could get the third one now, but I didn't go for that because I should pay monies
That's
and your
pretty
certificate.
badass, though.
Yeah, your certificate is also coming from Japan, so a little expensive. I didn't looking for that. Just a black belt is enough because after you get your black belts, you are a sensei, and in Japanese, sensei means master.
Oh,
Is the means masters, and you are in the black belt division since that. After that, when you go to the second one, third one, and the last one is the 10th ones, you just consider as the black belt, but your rank is higher just in your school.
Right,
But
right.
you can go to any.
so
divisions that you
being a
want.
black belt, you have the right to train other people.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it. You're right after that.
Right, right, right.
Exactly, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
pretty common knowledge, but
Yeah.
we're talking for a lot of people who are new to MMA and who
Right.
might want to get into it. Karate's a good place to start, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I think for the karate, after 4 years, if you're persistent, if you show up good and you have a good master, you can get your black
4
belts
years?
after 4 years.
Same as any other college.
But
you know?
it's something average, but it depends on the people. Some people have black belts, but when you go into tournaments, you can see them
Right.
as the black belts.
Right.
So I always say to the students, don't jump to the higher yuko,
Yeah.
means belts,
Right.
because you should be perfect in your belts and then go higher.
Makes sense.
It's much better than you be good on your green or brown belts that be a black belt and you don't have anything.
Yeah, yeah. Like you
Give-
said, keyword is patience.
That's
For sure.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much,
Yeah.
if you have patience, you have half the battle won as a martial artist in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patience is a good one. I remember.
And it gets hard
Yeah.
because a lot of people, like, they want to get to their first fight quick. You know, they're all hyped up. They see UFC. They just
Yeah.
want to get training, and then they start training and realize
Yeah.
how long of a road it really
And
is.
they're gonna lose fast.
And 4 years is still, like, that's just to get to the black belt. I mean, and that's like every day,
Yeah.
nonstop. It's your life, and that's a long time.
Yeah. The grandmaster always said that just a black belt is the way you start your karate.
Yeah.
It does means for the black belts. When you get your black belt, you just start it.
Right, right.
Before that, it was just with training. before
Right, right,
that.
right. Makes
So,
sense, yeah.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
So,
So what is it like before these tournaments? like,
it's
You,
actually
you travel because like you live here in Southern California,
Yeah.
as do I, and you travel to mostly Vegas, right? What's the
Vegas.
farthest you've traveled for a tournament?
Vegas.
Vegas. Oh,
Yeah.
so you're keeping it close. Well,
Yeah.
Vegas is the mecca of
Yeah.
for martial arts.
Probably Colorado for next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's national qualifications.
Oh, okay.
And after US Open, usually 3 weeks or to 4 weeks after that, there's a national qualification. Probably I'm gonna go to South Colorado for the
Okay.
other tournaments.
Right, right.
Yeah,
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, your dedication to this sport is 1 being none at all, and 10 being like every day, it's your whole life, it's all you think about. Where would you rate yourself 1 to 10 as far as your dedication goes?
Great question. I like to split your question to two different sections.
Okay.
One is physical training and the other one is mental training.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
My mental trainings, I can say 10. Every second.
Okay.
I'm thinking of that.
Okay.
Even in the regular life.
Let's talk about that mental training. Like, what comes with that?
Mental trainings means how much you like karate, how much
How
you
much you
think,
study?
how much you think you have a spare time, right?
Right.
How much you dedicate your spare time instead of going to the social networks to pass it with your friends, to have parties.
Mhm.
You like to go to the karate. You like to practice. You like to even warm up in karate. Warm up
Right.
karate. That's so important.
Right.
And the people ignore it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I can say any times that I have any spare times, any times. Last night, for example, I get off of work at midnight.
Right.
12.
And that's
Just last night.
That's at a restaurant, so
And
you
the
know-
restaurants and
you know,
the
it
hard
gets
work.
busy.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and after that I went to practice myself for 1 hour.
Right.
And I fallen asleep 2 in the mornings.
Right.
Because I didn't practice yesterday, I said I have to tonight.
And
This
that's
is hard.
straight
I have to
discipline.
do that.
Yeah, and that's a message to anybody, whether you're a pro or an amateur. That
You're gonna be tomorrow. Whatever you do tomorrow, what is that you did today?
right.
So
And
that's
and this
important.
is coming from someone who's not trying to get a paycheck. So that means you probably have twice the amount of discipline as someone who's doing it to eventually try to get paid, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people are motivated by the money. It takes a certain something special to stay motivated
That's
for no
right.
money.
Yeah,
And that's true. That makes
but-
a person whole.
exactly. So always you should motivate yourself. You say, I'm doing today some things that somebody else don't do that. Tomorrow I can do some things that nobody else
Right.
can do that. That's so important.
And it's safe to say that mental always comes first over physical.
Exactly.
You know,
That's
always.
very important.
If you're looking to start training, get your brain right first.
Exactly.
Get your brain right, get your
That's
attitude right, and then attack the physical side of things.
Right. Without mental is when you are when you can be winners when you are mentally ready.
Right.
Without stats, it doesn't make any sense. I know a lot of people that their physics is very good, their skills very good, but in the tournaments they don't have any things to show to anyone because they
Right.
just attack with no timings. They're just gonna finish it soon, and they're losing the plan.
Right.
That's it.
Let's talk about your signature move here. For all guys don't know, Pejman has one of the sickest roundhouse kicks I have ever seen,
It's my favorite
especially coming
move.
from someone your size.
Yeah, I love roundhouse kicks. And the secrets, some people said, oh, your roundhouse kicks is very great, that's good. I have a good physique for that, but I have put 100 more % of persistence and practice for the roundhouse kicks.
Right. Like we see you do this roundhouse kicks on these videos, and we're just like, oh yeah, he's just good at it. But what they don't know is the hours that went into perfecting
That's
that.
right, yeah.
And we're looking.
My grandmaster always said, I don't I don't fear of the peoples who doing 1,000 kicks in once. I am afraid of the peoples who doing one kick 1,000 times, and that means the practice and
Right.
practice and practice. Yeah, it's good that you are talented, you have a good physics, but if you don't put 100 more % effort on it, you're not gonna get what you want.
Other than your roundhouse, what other are your good qualities?
Other kick, good kick.
Oh yeah, oh, okay.
And the
Your
spinning
defense is
kicks.
pretty good too. I see in your clips that you got some pretty good defense.
Yeah, the defenses are important because
You're a quick
it's-
reactor. You react, and that's
Yeah,
that's so important in fighting. Period. I don't
Ah,
care
yeah,
what.
that's cool.
No matter what martial art you're doing, if you
Yeah.
don't have
You
reaction
talk about
time,
timings, right?
reaction time is everything. Look at the likes of Anderson Silva and the long list of MMA fighters I could say whose reaction
Yeah.
timing is the best defense you can have.
That's
If
very
you got
true.
reaction time, you got defense.
That's very
'Cause you
true.
got time to
Going
react.
forward- You're going forward and backwards, all included. Not good, you're just going backward, not good, just going forward. You should have a good mix. You should see, you should have good eye contacts. You should analyze it. You should be your coach too.
I mean, was there any fighters you just straight up knocked out cold from your roundhouse kick? Like straight TKO out cold?
A lot of them.
Oh,
But
wow. That
unfortunately,
many?
some tournament doesn't let me to have free
Well,
kicks.
let's talk about it. How many is alive? How many people have you knocked out cold?
Here, you can say
More than
out
10?
of these 7 tournaments, I was in like
So
in the 7 tournaments, 3 people.
3 people?
In 7 tournaments, but in the practice and
Right, right.
the regular practice, all the time.
So
Sometimes people told me when you are practicing, don't use your kicks, just the punch.
Right,
I said,
right,
okay,
right.
but after I use.
so every one of these tournaments, how many fights do you go against?
It depends about based on the tournaments. For US Opens, we had like 5 tournaments. If you the guy who assigned the first place, but he got 5 matches. But
5 matches?
yeah, but for other ones, usually 3 to 4.
3 to 4?
Yeah,
So that's pretty, and it's also a strategy where you've got to save your energy, because if you don't make,
that's
you can make it to the 4th, but if you ain't got no energy by
yeah,
then,
Right, yeah.
it's a
It's
big
happened
deal.
for everyone.
a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, in the second match, they.
How do you think you're going to do in the U.S. Open that's coming up in a couple months?
I'm thinking positive. Always I'm thinking to assign the first place.
We're definitely
Always,
gonna
but
get
see
you
what's
back
going
here
on.
too. We'll get you back on the show and we'll
Oh,
recap
thank
that tournament for sure.
Thank you.
I'm very anxious, and for anybody listening, they can see how you end up doing. So
I appreciate
training is everything.
Yeah,
You know,
that's,
whether
yeah.
you're going to tournaments or you're going into the octagon,
Right.
it's all
Yeah.
about that discipline in your training.
That's very true. So these days I'm working, I'm going to school, but I keep my everyday practice, 6 days a day. I'm doing karate, 1 day is resting, doing weight liftings, and getting really shape. So.
What would you say is your biggest flaw? What is your biggest problem right now as a martial artist?
As a martial artist, that's when you don't have any sponsor.
So
It's hard. Yeah,
you're at that
yeah.
level.
I'm looking for good sponsors that can cover.
It's not
No.
like MMA where it might be a little easier to get. This
Yeah,
is
it's much
karate
easier if you be
fighters.
good one, but yeah, in karate is hard. So
Well,
I have a bunch of students.
if anybody's listening, Pejman needs a sponsor. He's knocking people
out.
out. How does that work? Because you're all wearing gi, so how does a sponsor work? Like, it's not like MMA where you put the business logo on your shorts. Do you put it on your gi?
Yeah, you can't have any
Right.
anything on with that, but you
So
can
it's
just
a
put
different
something.
world.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Hey, but if they're
Yeah, on
listening,
your gi is nothing, but you can put some sponsors.
I'm
after
hoping for the
that.
day I can convince you to transfer over to the octagon.
Okay.
I would love to see a fighter of your level take your roots and then spend a year studying, jiu-jitsu and judo and a few of the basics. I'd like to see that. That would be pretty cool. 'Cause
Yeah,
I think you.
exactly.
I say because I think you perform very well in the octagon. I mean, you've got some of the best kicks in the game. So
Yeah, I think if one day I goes to the MMA, I'm gonna use most. I'm not gonna go for grabbings. I'm gonna finish it like with the techniques of the kicks, punch,
right,
and
right.
whatever I have.
Right.
And I can do that. I think.
And basically, you would just be using defense. Like your offense would
The
still
defense,
be karate.
right,
You
yeah.
know, the only reason you'd be grappling and clinching is
Yeah,
to defend yourself.
that's true.
I'd like to see it. That'd be pretty cool. There's a lot of people, but the whole
Hey,
point
Monday.
the whole point is that if there's amateur fighters out there or people that are just beginning, look into these tournaments, and it might be a great way. It might not be karate, but even there's a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments where you don't necessarily have to put yourself on the line because your first fight is everything. When you're trying, like, say if your goal is to get to the UFC. They want you to have a good record. Your first 10 fights is everything. So if you rush into your first fight and you lose, that's a big deal. As if you go to these tournaments and it doesn't go on your record, but you gain a crazy amount of experience, and it's a huge plus. So it's definitely an outlet fighters should consider, especially ones that are doing karate, training in karate. This is a pretty cool clip here. We're looking at you getting this medal. 3rd place in the Ozawa Cup right here.
Yeah, I was over Cubs 2 years ago.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and this one is training.
What's your highest medal?
Gold medal.
Golden what?
Gold medal. Highest one.
No, oh yeah, but for what tournament?
What tournament? It was California West Coast Championship.
You got the gold medal in that?
Right, yeah.
Is there clips of that's on there?
The clips, yeah, there are the tournaments of them, but not the medals.
Oh, okay.
And they dedicate
But
medals.
there's
But,
clips
they
of
get
the
to-
that's the one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check that out. That's pretty cool. So you have won gold medal tournament. So
Right.
Pejman is no
Yeah.
joke. He's not your average karate.
Do you want to see it?
Do I say
you wanna put it?
do I say karate fighter? Like I don't say karate fighter. I don't say karate artist.
Karate athlete?
Karate practitioner.
Karate, karate, I don't know what
He's not your average martial artist. He is out there. He is killing these tournaments. He is on the come up. You're doing very good, and I can't wait to see how many more heads you're gonna knock off. And like you said, it's not about all that. It's about respect and discipline and totally.
Yeah,
But
that's
I still can't help but love watching you kick these
Yeah.
people's heads off.
yeah, people like that.
It's a
So
very rare
I'm-
quality. Someone's got
As
one
long as
hell
they
of a
like it,
roundhouse.
I'm okay for that.
Right.
Especially
You-
my
you have-
master, Sensei Kubota.
Do you have any? I was gonna say next. Let's talk about some of your masters. So you have
Yeah.
one or more? Do you have multiple masters or what?
I have 2 masters right now. When I came here, I really appreciate my first master. He actually was the ones that he told me that you can come here, practice with me private for free, and because he knows I'm going to school, I'm working, and he just tries to in the way encourage me to come back to karate.
Right.
So after 8 years. So he practiced with me for 2 years. I appreciate that. Sensei Ray Tahiri. He's one of my best friends. And after that, I started working in one Japanese school, International Karate Association in
Okay.
Glendale.
It's pretty big, yeah. That's a
Yeah,
big
in
one.
Los Angeles. And I'm working with Grandmaster Soki Kubota, He's
Very
very
cool.
famous.
Very cool.
Every year he has a big tournaments all over the world coming.
Oh, I
join
would
his
love to.
tournament.
I would love to cover that.
Yeah. Then
It's important to really
He's
choose
18.
choose mentors that are good
that's
for you. Yeah,
yeah,
it's so
exactly.
important whether you're a
very
beginner
important.
or a pro. You know.
Very important. For example, I remember when I started 7 years old in the schools we practice karate, they push us to push further. You know, they're trying to have the give us the best warm up that we can.
Right.
And in that time, I improved my kicks. And
Oh.
it says in my body.
Gotcha.
And it's very important that you go to the right place and then you push yourself. For example, even I was in the best place for practice my kickings, improve my kicking. I trying to, whenever my master says do it 20 times, I'm did it 30 times.
Right.
You know, always because I love it. I love it to do that extra and being better and better.
Right.
That's so important. Both together, yourself and the place you're going.
Very cool. All right, so we're gonna wrap this show up. I'm here with Pejman. It's been a real good time here. Thanks for breaking down all this karate talk for anybody that's listening, thinking about getting into karate. Pejman, you're awesome. This
Thank
is the best
you.
damn amateur
Thank
MMA
you, Dan.
podcast
And
ever.
good luck, everyone.
Cool.
All right.
Go.
Yeah.
All right, let me end this. That was good. And that went on way long, so I'll take like the best clips, and like it'll
It was
probably
the first one,
it'll
man.
probably be like 35 minutes, yeah. Because it was like 20 minutes and then like 15, so that's good. And we're still recording 40 minutes.